the chances you're creating, 160 more than any other side in the Premier League since you came, shows the progress you're making. Do you think you've got a good shout to be the permanent manager next season?
I have no idea, and
would you like to be?
I haven't made any thoughts about that because my focus is on Sunday and then the next game against Tottenham and Atletico, and there is no, to be honest, no time and no space for me to think about anything else than the upcoming games.
During your unveiling, during your unveiling, your very first press conference, you said you'd be open to at least considering the permanent job. So
no.
Is it right to surmise you have changed your opinion?
I exactly know what I said. I said with a twinkle in on my eye, I said maybe at one stage at the end of the season,
Yes.
I might recommend myself to the club in my role as an advisor. This is exactly what I said.
So you'd still do that?
Pardon?
You still do that with a twinkle in your eye?
I don't know. It's not the end of the season. We have another 11 games to play, and hopefully not only one, but a few more Champions League games. So right now we have enough to do to prepare ourselves for the game on Sunday, and this is where my full focus is.
Ralf, it's your first derby, it's your first meeting with Pep. What are you expecting?
Well, we know that we are playing against one of the best, if not the best team in the world, in Europe, that for sure, and in the world. They have developed well since he arrived here. The same happened at Bayern Munich and at Barcelona when he was there. So he's one of the best, most influential managers and head coaches in the last 10, 15 years. So we know what kind of team and what kind of style of football we are facing, and that's why it will be about tactical discipline. It will be a lot of defensive work necessary, a lot of sprinting, running against the ball, with the ball, waiting for transitional moments, and then taking our chances. This is what it's all about. I think we created enough chances in the last 10, 11 games. At times we converted them, like at Leeds, for example, where we scored 4 goals. But it's correct, we should have scored more goals, especially in the last game against Watford. We should have scored at least 1, 2, 3 goals in order to win the game. But I would be more worried, actually, if we didn't create chances. But I think the way that we've been playing, the way that we prepared and created those chances, I think was good. And also against the ball, when the other team is in possession of the ball, we are compact. We didn't allow them too many chances, and this is exactly what we need in the game against Manchester City.
Ralf, will Edison Cavani be there to help with the goal scoring this weekend, and what is the rest of the team use?
Yeah, he's back in training since yesterday, and today was his second training session with the team. It looks good, so I think he could at least be part of the group for Sunday. Apart from that, we have 2 or 3 question marks behind some players, but we will wait and have to wait and see what happens by tomorrow or on Sunday. But Edison, I think, will, as it stands now, will be part of the group.
Do you think that as a club you are in a position to get somewhere near to Manchester City? They seem to have the structures right. They seem to have the kind of foundation from chief executive to technical director to manager. It all seems quite fluid, whereas at Manchester United it's not seemed like that. I know you've got a wider role, or you will have a wider view, but do you think Manchester United have what it needs in place to be able to get somewhere near to City?
To be honest, I haven't thought about that actually, and I don't know. I don't even know the structure or the setup at Manchester City. I know most of the people here in our club, but again, my focus was and still is on developing the current team and getting the best out of this season. What is obvious, not only with Manchester City, but also with Liverpool, they've had continuity and consistency on the position of their manager, their head coach, for 5 or 6 years. For the past 5 or 6 years, they have a very clear identity, a clear idea of how they want to play. And I know Jürgen in person, and I also know Pep from those 3 years in Germany when he was head coach of Bayern Munich. He also has a clear idea how he wants to play. And this idea is the headline for everything that happens in the club, for recruitment, for any new players that they sign, or even for players that they at one stage will sell. And this is, I think, the secret behind their success, that they exactly know how they want to play. They have a clear identity, or you can also call it a corporate identity. And this is their guideline for everything what they do, not only probably for new players, but also for staff members, for experts in different areas of the game that have become a bit more important in the last 10, 15 years. And this is what all the top clubs in Europe have in common. And this is something that I think also at Manchester United needs to be developed and improved in the next couple of years.
So the way that you're trying to get your team to play at the moment, Ralf, would you expect next season and the season after, whoever the new coach is, would you expect that the things that you're putting in place now to be adhered to in terms of style of play, etc., by the next guy?
I don't know. That would obviously depend on the decision regarding the manager or the head coach next season. Every head coach has his own idea of football. But as I said, for me, it's about consistency, continuity on the highest possible level. I mean, of course, it's also quality. And I think we all agree that with Jürgen and Pep, they are probably the two best, or at least in the top 5. For me, they are the two best coaches on the planet, in Europe for sure. And this is what it's all about. In fact, it's pretty easy in football. You need to have the best possible people. You need to have a clear idea of football, and then stick to that idea and take your decisions always with having in mind what do we want to be, how do we want to play.
Ronaldo has one goal, I think. Ronaldo one goal in his last 10. After the Watford game, you said that you couldn't really play anyone else. You didn't have any other options there. To what extent is it perhaps a failure of forward planning at this club that you're reliant on a once great player at 37 whose best days are clearly behind him, and it's clear that he's struggling to play 90 minutes week in, week out? To what extent is that a failure of the club?
Look, a few things that happened in the last couple of weeks or 2 months or 1.5 months couldn't have been foreseen by nobody. Now with Edison at least being available for the game and for the upcoming games, we have other options. With Marcus Rashford, we have another player where I will insist and continuously be behind him and with him to develop him. We achieved that with quite a few other young players in the past, and I don't see why this should not happen with Marcus. He's got abundant talent, he's got the pace, he's got the physicality, he's got everything that you need for a modern striker, no matter if he's playing from the wing or in the center. And I will put all my energy into that to help him to take the same pathway that other players did in the last 3 months.
With the process now underway for a new manager, I just wondered, and your consultancy at the end of this time, how involved will you be in that process to select the new manager?
We haven't spoken about that, to be honest. We had 1 or 2 meetings with the head of scouting and with 2 other people, but I think you will understand that I will not speak about that in detail. But about the possible new manager or about the managerial position next season, we haven't spoken as yet.
Ralf, sorry, I fully appreciate that your priority is, the Champions League and the Premier League and finishing in the top 4. But as someone who's been heavily involved in strategic planning of the clubs in the past, in understanding the importance of it, how difficult is it when the club don't know the new manager and the profile necessarily of him to actually plan for this summer ahead, which is going to be a considerable one? Normally, obviously, clubs like to plan months and months in advance, but at the moment, how can the club identify the right profile of player, for example, when they don't know who the manager's going to be? Or is it literally going to be a case of we're just going to have to start from the beginning of June or the end of May once we know who it is?
I get your point, but again, I told you that so far we haven't spoken about that. So, to be honest, I'm the wrong person to whom you address the question right now. My focus is on the upcoming games and getting the best out of the current players and team. And all the other things, either need to wait or whenever it's the right time to do that, I'm here. And of course, we can also speak about that. But so far, we haven't had the time or the opportunity to speak about that. And this is what it looks like.
In your opinion, should this never happen again at a club like Manchester United? A vacuum like this, a sort of, you're having to sit here and say, to be honest, I don't really know where it's going to go. In your opinion, should this not happen again at a club of this status? It wouldn't necessarily happen at City, it wouldn't happen at Liverpool because they are organised, they know what they're doing, as you sort of very articulately sort of said. So, in your view, would that be an important thing for this never to happen again, this kind of scenario, the situation the club is in now?
Again, I don't know. I'm here for now until the end of the season. And as I said, for me, it's important to develop the players, to develop the team. And all the other issues, will be dealt with at the right moment and at the right time, I presume. And of course, I'm always there, and I will always tell people my opinion. But right now, it has not as yet happened. But this does not mean that it might not happen in the next days or weeks to come.
Okay, last question from you.
Ralf, I'm sure you've watched Pep Guardiola teams over the course of the last 10, 15 years and thought yourself about how you might play against them. But in theory, to then putting it into practice, I mean, how much of a challenge will that be?
I mean, in the end, it's about controlling the game, about not letting them play and having them the ball just without any pressure, because this is exactly what they're looking for. They're always looking for creating an overload of players in half spaces, even with their goalkeeper almost playing like a centre back, with at least one of their fullbacks playing on a midfield 6 position, playing with a false 9, always dropping back into midfield. So this shows we are fully aware of the idea, how they want to play. And for us, it's about always finding moments where we can put them under pressure, where we hopefully can take the ball away from them, and then taking advantage of those transitional moments. And there were some teams in the last couple of weeks and months who could do that. And it's up to us to show on Sunday that we can also do